How advanced is your English? Are you a beginner, intermediate, advanced, or super advanced? Let's find out. Today you'll test your English, but this isn't classroom English. This is real English. We'll start with idioms, we'll move on to phrases, and we'll end with C1 words natives actually use. Are you ready? Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. Level beginner. Your task is to choose the correct meaning. Question 1, I'm over the moon today. This means A, I'm extremely happy. B, I'm feeling dizzy. C, I'm very tired. The answer is A, I'm extremely happy.
I'm just over the moon.
So maybe you can say, I was over the moon when I passed Jennifer's idiom test. And after you complete this test, you can download the free lesson PDF so you can practice and review and learn all of these idioms fully. Question 2, she's feeling under the weather.
I am just feeling under the weather.
A, she's feeling cold. B, she's feeling sick. C, she's feeling tired. The answer is B. For example, he stayed home from work because he was feeling under the weather. Question 3, let's break the ice with a quick game. This idiom means A, let's ease tension. B, let's shatter something. C, let's eat something cold. The answer is A, let's ease tension.
I'll break the ice.
Playing a game is a great way to break the ice in a new class. Question 4, they finally saw eye to eye on the marketing strategy.
We didn't always see eye to eye.
A, they finally understood the technical details. B, reached an agreement. C, met face to face. The correct answer is B. You could say after a long debate, the team saw eye to eye on the budget cuts. They reached an agreement. Question 5, who spilled the beans about the surprise party? A, who cleaned up the mess? B, who cooked the food? C, who revealed the secret? The answer is C.
I spilled the beans.
You might say, my little brother spilled the beans about our parents' anniversary gift. He revealed the secret. So what was your score for the beginner level? Make sure you share your score in the comments and let's move on to level intermediate. Your task is to choose the correct word to complete the idiom. Question 6, he's in water after missing the deadline. Is it A, deep, B, cold, C, hot, D, soft? The answer is
If he finds out, we're all in hot water.
C. To be in hot water means to be in trouble, especially for doing something wrong. For example, she was in hot water after forgetting to send the client an update. Uh-oh, she was in trouble. Question 7, she accidentally let the out of the bag about the surprise. A, cat, B, dog, C, rabbit, D, secret. The answer is A, to let the cat out of the bag. This means to reveal a secret, often by accident. I let the cat out of the bag when I mentioned the wedding in front of her.
Well, technically, Stella let the cat out of the bag.
Now, you might be thinking we already learned an idiom, and yes, you can absolutely say, I spilled the beans. Both are extremely common. Question 8, the ball is in your now. A, field, B, play, C, court, D, gym. The correct answer is C. The ball is in one's court, your court. It means that it's that person's turn to decide or take action.
The ball's in your court.
For example, I gave him my number. Now the ball's in his court. I gave him. It's in his court. Question 9, we're finally on the page after our meeting. A, even, B, similar, C, same, D, odd. The correct answer is C, to be on the same page.
We're on the same page.
This means that you have agreement or understanding. We weren't on the same page until we clarified the project goals, but now we are on the same page. Question 10, our idea didn't work, so it's back to the board. A, white, B, painting, C, black, D, drawing. The correct answer is D, the drawing board.
Back to the drawing board.
To go or be back to the drawing board, this means to start again, and it's after a failure. You could say the app kept crashing, so the developers went back to the drawing board. They tried something, it failed, they tried again. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. So how did you do with level intermediate? Share your score in the comments and let's move on to level advanced. Your task is to complete the idiom, this time without options. Question 11, we had the midnight oil to finish the report before morning. The correct answer is burn, and this means to work late into the night.
Are you burning the midnight oil?
You could say, I often burn the midnight oil when preparing for exams. Question 12, he got feet and canceled the presentation at the last minute. The correct answer is
He got cold feet.
cold. This means to become too nervous to follow through with something. So to do something you said you were going to. You might ask, do you think she'll get cold feet and call off the wedding? Question 13, she really, the gun, and sent the email too early. The answer is jumped.
You jumped the gun again.
Did you get the correct verb conjugation as well? This means to act too soon or before you're supposed to. So you can say to your friend, don't jump the gun this time. Wait until your boss tells you to send the email. Question 14, you just have to the bullet and ask your boss for a raise. The correct answer is bite. Bite the bullet. This means to do something unpleasant or difficult that you've been avoiding.
Guess it's time to bite the bullet.
So you can say he finally bit the bullet in the past simple. He finally bit the bullet and told his friend the truth. Question 15, in our department, she's the one who the shots. The correct answer is who calls the shots.
She thinks that she calls the shots.
Did you get that verb conjugation as well? And this means to be in control or make important decisions. When it comes to scheduling, the office manager calls the shots. So you have to get permission from the office manager. So how did you do with level advanced? Share your score in the comments. And we're not done yet because let's move on to level super advanced. Your task is to complete the full idiom based on the reference word. Question 16, I can't believe he blamed me in front of the client just to save himself. He threw... The answer is he threw me under the bus. Did you get all the words to complete the idiom? That's why this is level super advanced. And this means to betray someone to protect yourself. So you could say, I trusted her, but she threw me under the bus during the group presentation.
Sheldon threw us all under the bus.
Question 17. She always stays late and helps others, even when she doesn't have to. She always extra. She always goes the extra mile. Did you get all the words and the correct grammar? This means to make more effort than expected. So it's a very positive idiom. Maybe you could say, and hopefully you would, Jennifer always goes the extra mile with her lessons.
We're going the extra mile for feeling.
Hopefully you agree with that. So put that's right, put that's right if you do. Question 18, our team needs to come up with a creative solution this time. Let's box. Let's think outside the box. And this means to think in an original or creative way. It's often used in brainstorming sessions. You'll need to think outside the box if you want to impress the judges.
Well, let's think outside the box.
Question 19, we still haven't received a decision yet. Everything is air. Everything is up in the air. Did you get it? And this means undecided or uncertain.
Everything's sort of up in the air right now, you know.
Our weekend plans are still up in the air because of the weather. We haven't decided or confirmed. Question 20, nobody wanted to bring up the obvious issue during the meeting. Everyone ignored room. Everyone ignored the elephant in the room. Did you get that one? And the elephant represents an obvious problem no one wants to discuss. So you could say, nobody mentioned the budget. The budget was the elephant in the room. It was a problem. Everyone knows it's a problem, but everyone ignored it, just like the elephant in the room.
How much longer are we going to ignore the elephant in the room?
So how did you do with level super advanced? Share your score in the comments and share your score for the entire quiz. Now let's move on and do the same test, but this time with phrases. Level beginner. Your task is to choose the correct meaning. Question 1, cut me some slack. This means A, give me a discount. B, Don't be too strict. C, help me finish my work. The correct answer is B, don't be too strict.
Gia, cut me some slack. Cut her some slack.
For example, you might say at the end of this, Jennifer, cut me some slack if I don't get all 20 right. So don't be too strict, too critical, or don't punish me. If that's what you're thinking, put that's right, put that's right in the comments, and of course, I'll cut you some slack. Question 2, they go hand in hand. This means A, they walk together, B, they look alike, C, they naturally happen together. The correct answer is C, they naturally happen together.
They go hand in hand.
For example, you could say success and hard work, they go hand in hand. They naturally happen together. Question 3, she's my partner in crime. This means A, we have a close relationship. B, we commit crimes together. C, we work together. The correct answer is A, we have a close relationship.
You were my first partner in crime.
For example, we've known each other since we were little kids. She's my partner in crime. So it's an expression you can use with someone you're very close with, a friend, even a spouse or a family member. Question 4, he has a soft spot for snakes. A, he's afraid of them. B, he loves them deeply. C, he avoids them. The correct answer is B, he loves them deeply. Yes, we're talking about snakes, but he has a soft spot for snakes, so it means he loves them deeply.
Larry has a soft spot for animals.
You can use this with anything, but with animals, you can say, I love all animals, but I have a soft spot for cats. Question 5, my new boss is quite blunt. A, he's confident. B, he's direct. C, he's helpful. The correct answer is B, he's direct.
So brilliant and blunt.
This is commonly used to begin a sentence, to be blunt, and then you can say something negative or critical and you can say it directly. To be blunt, I wasn't impressed with your presentation. So how did you do with this level? Share your score in the comments and let's move on to level intermediate. Your task is to choose the correct word to complete the phrase. Question 6, there's a fine between being blunt and being rude. A, line. B, page. C, point. D, thread. The correct answer is A, line.
There's a fine line between tough and crazy.
There's a fine line between, and then we need two things, X and Y. It means that these things are closely related and often confused. There's a common expression, there's a fine line between love and hate. These are two very strong emotions and sometimes they're confused. Question 7, misery loves A, company, B, drama, C, attention, D, gossip. The correct answer is A, misery loves company.
Misery loves company.
This is an expression that means unhappy people, that's misery. Unhappy people often want others to feel unhappy too. So you might use this as advice to a friend. Don't let his negativity bring you down. So make you go from happy or positive to sad or negative. Don't let his negativity bring you down. Remember, misery loves company. This is like saying people who are upset like talking about why they're upset and want other people to talk about why they're upset too. Misery loves company. Question 8, before the movie, let's get into our A, jam, B, pajama, C, PJ, D, jammies. The correct answer is D, jammies.
And let's wear our jammies.
This is the only grammatically correct answer because pajamas or PJs requires an S. The noun is always plural, which is why those options were not grammatically correct because they were singular. Now, of course, pajamas, PJs are comfortable clothing you wear to sleep or relax, like when you're watching a movie. Or you might say, I need to buy some winter jammies. Jammies is the casual, informal way of saying pajamas or PJs. Question 9, don't to conclusions. A, run, B, leap, C, skip, D, jump. The correct answer is D, jump.
Maybe don't jump to conclusions.
To jump to conclusions, this means that you form conclusions, so your opinion or what you think is true, before you have all the facts. So you might say, before jumping to conclusions, just ask him why he hasn't returned your texts. That's the best way. Question 10, don't ask her for money. She's a cheap. A, skate. B, wallet. C, hunter. D, thrift. The correct answer is A, a cheapskate.
Hey, relax, cheapskate. They're bottomless.
Do you know what this means? This describes someone who doesn't like spending money and tries to avoid paying for things whenever possible. A classic example, she brings her own popcorn to the movies. She's a cheapskate. How did you do with this level? Share your score in the comments and let's move on to level advanced. Your task is to complete the phrase, but this is level advanced, so there are no options. Question 11, she gets upset all the time. I have to walk on whenever she's around. Did you say eggshells? To walk on eggshells.
They walk on eggshells around you.
Now, if you said eggshell singular or eggs or shells, that's incorrect. It must be eggshells plural. To walk on eggshells means that you're very careful not to offend or upset someone. For example, just because Brad dumped me doesn't mean you need to walk on eggshells around me. Question 12, if you want to make him angry, just ask him about his bathroom renovation. That always pushes his Did you say buttons? Again, with the S, always plural.
Madison can push buttons.
To push one's buttons, his buttons, this means you deliberately, on purpose, you deliberately say or do something to annoy or provoke someone, usually just for fun. That's what you do with your partner in crime, with your close friends, with your family members. You might say, honestly, just hearing the name Brad pushes my buttons right now. Because remember, Brad dumped me, which means he ended our relationship. So hearing his name annoys me or makes me angry. It pushes my buttons. Question 13, I don't mean to be a blanket, but I have an early meeting, so can you please turn down the music? Did you say wet blanket?
I'm a wet blanket.
To be a wet blanket, this is a person who discourages fun or enjoyment. You might say, my brother is being a wet blanket. He won't lend us his convertible. And it would be so fun to have his convertible to go to the beach, but he's being a wet blanket. Question 14, he's complaining about the policy because he has an to grind, not because it affects his work. To have an axe to grind, an axe to grind.
Do they have an axe to grind? Is it you, sir?
This means that you have a personal reason or a hidden motive for something. You might say, I don't think she has an axe to grind. I don't think she has a hidden motive. I think she honestly has a soft spot for snakes. And that's why she doesn't want you to plant a garden here because it will disturb the snake habitat. She doesn't have an axe to grind. Remember that soft spot for snakes? Question 15, don't worry about spilling your coffee. It won't leave a stain. No harm, no. No harm, no foul. Is that what you said? Foul.
No harm, no foul.
This means nothing bad has happened, so there's no reason to be upset or take action. You might say the new intern forgot to mail the samples, but no harm, no foul. We can overnight them to the client and still make the deadline. How did you do with this level? Share your score in the comments and let's move on to level super advanced. Your task is to complete the full phrase based on the reference word. And that's why this is super advanced, because there may be 1, 2, 3 or more words that you need to complete the phrase. Question 16, oh wow, I didn't know you're engaged. When are you not? When are you tying the knot?
When are you two going to tie the knot?
So you need the correct words to tie the knot, and you also need to form the correct grammar based on the sentence. When are you tying the knot? This is a casual way of saying to get married. We're tying the knot next May. We're getting married next May. Question 17, that is such a fancy dress. Why are you? Nines. Why are you dressed to the nines?
He dresses to the nines for every occasion.
This is when you wear very formal or very fashionable clothes. You might say, I'm so excited for Mary's wedding next May. I love getting dressed to the nines. Question 18, why is Remy sitting in the front seat? I called shotgun.
I call shotgun, shotgun!
To call shotgun. This is when you claim the right to sit in the front passenger seat of a vehicle. So someone might say, is everyone ready to go? And you're about to go on a long drive. And you say, I call shotgun. That's how you claim that your seat is the front passenger seat. And then maybe the person replies, that's fine, I'm happy to sit in the back. Question 19, Trisha spent 20 minutes in my office talking about the weather before she finally asked me for the day off tomorrow. It was a simple request. There was no need to push. There was no need to beat around the bush.
Stop beating around the bush.
This is when you avoid talking about what is important. So she was talking about the weather instead of what was important, her request for a day off. So you might say to someone, stop beating around the bush and just say what's on your mind. Be direct, maybe be blunt. Remember that? Question 20. Brad told you he wants to spend the next 10 years traveling. It doesn't sound like he wants to get married or have kids. You need to between lines. You need to read between the lines.
Read between the lines.
This is when you understand someone's real feelings or intentions from what they say or do. So Brad didn't say, I don't want to marry you or have children, but he did say he wants to spend the next 10 years traveling. So if I read between the lines, maybe I understand his intention. Here's another example. She said she wants to come on vacation with us, but reading between the lines, I don't think she can afford it. So how did you do with level super advanced? Share your score in the comments and share your score for the entire quiz. Now let's move on and do the same test, but this time with more phrases because natives love using phrases and you need them to truly be fluent. Level beginner, your task is to choose the correct meaning. Question 1, my heart sank when I heard the news. A, I felt relieved. B, I felt disappointed. C, I felt excited. The correct answer is B, I felt disappointed.
I just know my heart sank when I read it.
My heart sank. So this is when you go from happy to sad. So you can think of it in a sense of disappointment. My heart sank when I only got 2 questions right. Maybe that's what you think by the end of this lesson. But then you change that and say, that means I learned 14 new phrases today, and that's great. So make sure you have that positive attitude no matter what your score is and put that's right, put that's right in the comments. And don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Question 2, the deal fell through. This means A, it was delayed. B, it was successful. C, it failed at the last moment. The correct answer is C. It failed at the last moment.
The deal fell through.
For example, the client was supposed to sign the contract today. Why did it fall through? Because you would use this in the context of the last moment. Or, we were going to travel across the country this summer, but our plans fell through. So you can absolutely use this in your daily routine to talk about plans and arrangements. Question 3. I went to the movies solo. This means A, I went with friends. B, I went alone. C, I went late. The correct answer is B, I went alone. So I might ask you, have you ever traveled solo? In this sentence structure, it's an adverb. I could also ask you, have you ever gone on a solo trip? Now it comes before a noun, so grammatically you know in this sentence it's an adjective.
A 27-day solo trip down the Zambezi River.
Question 4, he's a busybody. This means A, he interferes in others' business. B, he's very productive at work. C, he has a lot of activities and hobbies. The correct answer is A. He interferes in others' business.
He's a busybody, and he goes on and on and on.
Now, this is used in a negative way. It's a criticism. So generally, we use this as advice and say, don't be such a busybody. Don't interfere in others' business. Or maybe, you can't trust Jeff. He's a busybody. Share your score for level beginner and let's move on to level intermediate. Your task is to choose the correct word to complete the phrase. Question 5. Before the holidays, make sure you tie up loose A. knots, B. ends, C. strings, D. pieces. The correct answer is B. ends.
It told me to tie up loose ends.
The expression is to tie up loose ends, and it's always plural, ends. And this means to finish small remaining tasks. So usually administrative tasks or small items on your to-do list. For example, I need to tie up a few loose ends before the trip. So you can use a few to make it sound like a small number of. Or you could say, before we wrap up the project, we need to tie up some loose ends. So you can also use some. Question 6, that comment really my interest. A, piqued, B, peaked, C, peaked, D, picked. The correct answer and the correct spelling is C, piqued.
Well, this really piqued my interest.
To pique one's interest. So pique, the spelling and pronunciation don't match. Pique is the verb that you conjugate. And this means to make you curious or interested. So maybe I say to a client, my idea will save us $1 million over 3 years. And the client replies back, you've piqued my interest. Now I'm curious, now I'm interested. Go on. Or I could say to you, if learning natural expressions piques your interest, subscribe for more lessons and make sure you do. Question 7, she always in during meetings. A, chimes, B, rides, C, speaks, D, adds. The correct answer is A, chimes.
I know you'll be tempted to chime in, but remember that you're in an emotionally vulnerable state.
This is a phrasal verb, to chime in. This means to join a conversation or add information, and is often suddenly. So I might say to anyone in a meeting, feel free to chime in if you have ideas. So I'm inviting them to share their ideas as they happen. They don't have to wait until the end of my presentation. They can share them whenever they have them. It's very common to start a presentation or a meeting with that if you do want people to chime in, and you can say everyone's welcome to chime in. Question 8, can you, for me, while I'm gone? Can you A, stand, B, support, C, handle, D, cover? The correct answer is D, cover.
Can you cover for me, please?
And notice that preposition, because you cover for someone. And that means you do someone's job in their absence. So I might say, I'm running late, cover for me. And I just give it as an instruction, cover for me. So my absence is, I'm not at the office because I'm stuck in traffic. Or you might complain and say, I'm sick of covering for Jane. She takes 20 breaks per shift, because it's very common to cover for someone when they're on a break. So share your score in the comments for level intermediate, and let's move on to level advanced. Now your task is to complete the phrase without options, and this is what makes it more advanced. Question 9. I'm also going to Portugal on vacation this summer. Great minds think. Great minds think alike. Alike, is that what you said? And did you spell it correctly as one word?
Great minds think alike, huh?
So great minds think alike. This is an expression used when people have the same idea. So if you're in a restaurant, you could say to the person beside you, I ordered the pasta too. And the person could reply back with this expression and say, great minds think alike. Or you can say, I'll have the pasta. And then the person beside you or somewhere else at the table can reply back and say, great minds think alike. So that's their way of letting you know that they ordered the pasta, even if you didn't hear the order. Question 10, I couldn't read the sign. I only saw it out of my eye. Out of the corner of my eye.
And then I saw a suitcase out of the corner of my eye in the hallway.
So to see something out of the corner of one's eye, my eye, his eye, for example. This is a phrase that's used when you see something partially or indirectly. This happened to me just the other day. I was watching a movie when I saw a bug out of the corner of my eye. And this was a big bug. But I didn't see it directly, I just saw it out of the corner of my eye. I'm not sure what type of bug it was. I only saw it out of the corner of my eye. That's a very common phrase. Question 11, I don't know why he's so rude to the teachers. He just has a chip on his... Do you know this one? A chip on his shoulder.
You let him come in here with a chip on his shoulder.
The expression is to have a chip on one's shoulder. So my shoulder, his shoulder, Mark's shoulder. And this means to be easily offended or angry. So, for example, I have two teenagers at home and they both have a chip on their shoulder, which means they get offended easily, they get angry easily, they're teenagers. If you're a parent, you can probably relate to that. Or, we've been so accommodating, yet she still has a chip on her shoulder. She still gets really angry or upset. Question 12, I don't want to get bogged in the details. Did you say bogged down in the details?
I just don't want to get bogged down.
The expression is to get bogged down. Get in the sense of to become bogged down. And notice that pronunciation, bogged. Bogged down, because when you say the D from down, you won't hear it so much on the past simple of the verb bogged down. And this means to become stuck in details or progress slowly because you're stuck in the details. So I might say, don't get bogged down in all the charts. The charts represent details or information. Focus on the main point. Or you can talk about a project or assignment and say the project got bogged down halfway through. So here, get is your verb that you conjugate. Share your score for level advanced, and now let's move on to level super advanced. This is super advanced because your task is to complete the full phrase based on the reference word. Now, you may need to complete the phrase with 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, so that's why this is super advanced. Question 13, when I asked her where her husband was, I had no idea they just got divorced. I can't believe I put my in my again. I can't believe I put my foot in my mouth again. Is that what you said?
At least I wouldn't have put my foot in my mouth.
The idiom is to put one's foot, my, his, her, foot, singular, foot, in one's, my, his, her, mouth, and singular mouth, which makes sense because we only have one mouth, but we have 2 feet, but the idiom uses just one, one's foot. So this is to say something embarrassing or inappropriate. So, I really put my foot in my mouth when I asked your father about his wig. I didn't know it was a secret. So a wig is fake hair. So maybe the father didn't share that he wears a wig, and I just blurted it out at dinner. Now, you could also remark, that was so funny when your brother realized he put his foot in his mouth, because that person will probably have a very upset look on their face when they realize what happened. Question 14, last week I needed your help, but you said you were busy. And now you want me to help you? Oh, how the have turned. Oh, how the tables have turned. Is that what you said? And did you have plural tables?
How the tables have turned.
The expression is the tables have turned. And this means this situation has reversed. For example, maybe I call my mom and say, Mom, I need advice. Shelly won't listen to anything I say, and she has a huge chip on her shoulder. And let's say Shelly is my teenage daughter. Now, my mom says to me, oh, how the tables have turned. So this implies that when I was a teenager, I didn't listen to my mom. I had a chip on my shoulder, and now the situation is reversed and it's my daughter doing the exact same to me. This is a very common situation in family dynamics and in friend dynamics or work dynamics. Or you could say, it's funny how the tables have turned. Question 15, honestly, I didn't give it a lot of thought. I saw a last minute deal and I booked the vacation on a whim.
But I won't do it on a whim.
So to do something on a whim, this means you do it without planning. So you do it suddenly. So you might say, we decided to enroll in a salsa class on a whim. It's not something we researched fully. We haven't been discussing it for a long time. We just saw it and signed up. Now you can start with this expression to add some interest and say, on a whim, I quit my job. So people know you did it rather impulsively. It's not something that you prepared for or thought carefully about. So it can be a positive or negative depending on the situation. Question 16, I forgot my USB with my presentation at my desk. So the presentation was definitely rocky start. The presentation was definitely off to a rocky start. Ooh, did you get that one?
I know we've gotten off to a rocky start, but I want to smooth things over.
The phrase is to be off to a, and then adjective, in this case, rocky is the adjective, start. And this is very commonly used. It simply means to start and then whatever that adjective is. So to start the presentation in a rocky way. So for example, you can use this in a positive and say the meeting was off to a great start. So to be conjugated in the past, off to a great start. Or maybe you use a negative and say the interview was off to a terrible start because I really put my foot in my mouth. So how did you do with level super advanced? Share your score in the comments and share your score for the entire quiz. Now let's move on to a new test, this time on C1 words that natives actually use. Question 1, the team's efforts have been with periods of intense focus followed by days of inactivity. The correct answer is B, sporadic. Sporadic. This means occurring at irregular intervals or only in a few places, scattered or isolated. For example, the power outages were sporadic throughout the day. So this means they didn't occur continuously, they occurred sporadically at different intervals, different times, but not continuously. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
I describe myself as a sporadic meditator.
We've definitely done it in, kind of sporadic, one-off.
That's when we get sporadic results. That's when we get haphazard results. That's when we get inconsistency. That's when we get people that will compromise their values.
Question 2, his curiosity led him to read every book on the subject. The correct answer is C, insatiable. Listen to that pronunciation, insatiable, insatiable. This means impossible to satisfy. For example, I have an insatiable appetite for learning English. Notice the use of the word appetite because insatiable is commonly used with feelings of hunger, impossible to satisfy your hunger. So do you have an insatiable appetite for learning English? Put that's right, put that's right in the comments. Now let's listen to some real world examples.
But these insects aren't always so insatiable.
Because I was just an insatiable learner, I knew I wanted to be some kind of an ist. I went from marine biologist to paleontologist to...
It's too small to satisfy such insatiable appetites.
Question 3, when its first product failed, the company had to a new idea. The correct answer is C, pivot, pivot. This means to make a fundamental change in approach or strategy. We pivoted and bought a condo. So this sounds like you changed your approach. First, you wanted to buy a house or maybe even rent a house, but then you pivoted, you changed your approach, and you bought a condo. Let's listen to some real world examples.
And the big pivot is about a deep change in the priorities of business.
Now, some people call that pivot. So some of my colleagues over at Accenture actually call pivot to the future.
They're trying to think, how can we pivot or do things differently?
Question 4, the scientists knew the theory was false and worked to it. The correct answer is A, debunk. Listen to that pronunciation, debunk. This means to expose the falseness of a myth, idea, or belief. For example, I need to debunk the idea that you can't improve your speaking alone because you absolutely can. Do you agree with that? Do you want to help me debunk this myth? If you do, put that's right in the comments, and let's listen to some real world examples.
It's time to debunk them once and for all.
So I wanted to write a book to try to debunk a lot of myths about physical activity and about exercise.
If I can't debunk it, if I can't falsify it, if there's no way to test it, then how will we ever know it's true?
Question 5, she appreciated his comments even though they were difficult to hear. The correct answer is B, candid, candid. This means truthful and straightforward. Another word for it is frank. His frank response. You could say her candid answers, her honest, straightforward. Her candid answers impressed the hiring manager. Let's listen to some real world examples.
They're also candid. They're honest, vulnerable, and give lots of feedback.
They said, let facts be submitted to a candid world.
The solution I found to that was to be very candid with my reader.
How are you doing so far? Question 6, her analysis of the situation helped resolve the issue quickly. The correct answer is C, astute. Notice that end, oot, astute, astute. This means you're able to understand a situation quickly and see how to take advantage of it. For example, she made an astute observation about the company's strategy. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
Yeah, I think that's actually a very astute observation.
Mahatma Gandhi actually was a very astute politician.
I mean, that's really fascinating and politically astute, obviously.
Question 7. She placed her belongings around the room without any thought. The correct answer is C, haphazardly. This is fun to say, haphazardly, haphazardly. This means in a manner lacking any obvious organization, and notice it's an adverb. For example, the books were piled haphazardly on the table. So it sounds like at any moment those books could fall because they were piled haphazardly. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
The city that was built haphazardly along the river wasn't equipped to house more people.
But it's done haphazardly and typically ineffectively.
And he's not just throwing them around haphazardly.
Question 8. Their silence was taken as consent to proceed. The correct answer is A, tacit, tacit. You won't hear that final T in spoken English, tacit, tacit. This means understood or implied, but without being stated. We often use this to describe agreements. There was a tacit agreement to keep the situation private. So this means that nobody formally said, we will keep the situation private. It was understood without saying it. It was a tacit agreement. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
A lot of our knowledge is tacit.
It reflects both explicit and tacit racism.
But isn't there a signal, a tacit signal, from the retirements of all these congressional officials?
Question 9. She experienced the adventure through her friend's vivid descriptions. The correct answer is C, vicariously. Notice that K, vicariously, vicariously. This means experience through the activities of other people rather than by doing something yourself. For example, his love of travel was fulfilled vicariously through documentaries and movies. So this sounds like he didn't travel himself. He was exposed to travel on TV, documentaries, and movies. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
Maybe you can kind of vicariously enjoy that.
I get to enjoy that vicariously and maybe give them some guidance, right?
I mean, vicariously, we all went there.
Question 10. I can't seem to, the reason behind her sudden resignation. The correct answer is C, fathom, fathom. This means to understand someone or why someone acts as they do. We often use this in the negative. She couldn't fathom why he made such a decision. This means she doesn't understand why or how he made the decision. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
I want to talk to you about that love so deep, only a mother can fathom it.
We never fully know God's purpose. We can never fully fathom His amazing grace.
Can you fathom that?
You're doing such a great job. Question 11, the teacher began to the student for not completing the assignment. The correct answer is A, berate, berate. This means to scold or criticize someone angrily. The client berated the intern for spelling the company name wrong on the posters. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
They in fact berate it. They call it stupid.
And worse, believe me.
It was shocking to see him berate Sergeant Pagani in front of us.
Okay. Okay, is that a question, or you just want to berate me?
Question 12. Their joy over the victory was fading quickly as the next challenge appeared. The correct answer is A, ephemeral, ephemeral, ephemeral. This means lasting for a very short time. For example, the beauty of the sunset was ephemeral, disappearing within minutes. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
They produce ephemeral rain roots that quickly take up the available water.
What's immediate and ephemeral seems to dominate our lives, our economy, and our politics.
They're kind of ephemeral, but yet not entirely gone.
Question 13, they offered free snacks in an attempt to the angry crowd. The correct answer is A, placate. Notice that K, placate, placate. This means to make someone less angry or hostile. For example, the intern tried to placate the client by offering to work late. So the intern tried to make the client less angry. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
Now, I'm not saying placate him or blow sunshine at him, but I'm saying when it comes from, if he is doing a good job and is coming from an authentic place, let him know.
Pulling an object of art to placate part of the public.
They passed some of his reforms and tried to placate the people.
Question 14, it was how similar their voices sounded over the phone. The correct answer is C, uncanny. Uncanny. This means strange or mysterious in an unsettling way. He has an uncanny ability to pick a winner. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
Professors have an uncanny knack for remembering what they've read, whether it's by another professional or by a student.
General Lee was a brilliant tactician who had kind of an uncanny ability in individual battles.
Well, I have an uncanny ability to honk off people on all sides of issues.
Question 15. Their meeting at the party was pure, as neither knew the other would be there. The correct answer is C, happenstance. This is also fun to say. Happenstance, happenstance. This is the same as coincidence, something that happens by chance, not planned. For example, by sheer happenstance, my neighbor and I were both traveling to Paris on the same day. Again, this is a coincidence. My neighbor and I did not plan to travel to Paris on the same day. It was sheer happenstance. And sheer emphasizes the coincidence, emphasizes the happenstance. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
I didn't just get here by happenstance. I get here because I'm the product of people who were humble enough to not see me and write me off as a villain, but embrace me as a would-be hero in the making.
You know, maybe just by happenstance, I happen to be a little bit more embodied. And I felt a certain kind of way about that.
I mean, some of it, honestly, is happenstance.
So how many words did you know? Share your score in the comments. And share your score for all 4 tests in the comments. Do you want me to keep testing your English? If you do, put put more in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 steps on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.